Hello everybody, my name is Sinvicta and welcome back to Library of Ruina here on the Sinvicta Gaming channel. I know it's been a few days since we had the last episode here, and I am currently going up against Night of Despair. So I've learned a lot about the game since the last episode or so. I've been doing a lot of experiments trying to beat Night of Despair, and I've learned one very important thing, and that is how the ranged mechanics work. Obviously on the last episode I was able to get around learning how to do the AoE attacks, and now the same principle has to be used against ranged attacks. I know the game already kind of explained that or whatever, but I'll get into this fight. We're probably not going to beat her on this episode, but I'm going to try my best. So I've given Tifereth, James, and Chelsea all of our best gear, and as you see here, I've custom made their decks to have lots of piercing damage, but also to have one very important inclusion, which is going to be one very, very powerful but very costly damaging card here. And there's a reason why we're going with a single roll on that, and that has to do with what I've learned with the game mechanics when it comes to defending against ranged attacks. So let's hop on into the Night of Despair, and I am just gonna get started. So I'm not gonna lie, I've probably got maybe 7 or 8 attempts down now against Night of Despair. Have not come close to beating her yet, but so far with what I've got, I think I've been doing okay as far as like our cards availability and whatnot. So what I'm going to do, the best strategy that I've had is going up and nuking the sword that has the tiers. You have basically three turns to stagger and kill this sword here to go into the next phase. So that's what we're going to do here. We've got Binding Arms available for James right now. I'm actually going to use that now, just because I want to lower that cost as soon as possible, and then we'll go with the weight up here as well, just so we get some of that light back. Same thing goes for Tifereth here. We want to use nothing but piercing and damage, and we're just going to effectively just nuke as fast as we can, get this sword down as quickly as possible. That way we have we have minimal damage incoming from these swords here. Now obviously Chelsea doesn't have piercing on this one, so I'm going to probably have to defend against this, because we want to have the free attack. We want to have the free piercing damage against that sword there. So we'll go ahead and defend against that, and then we'll use eject on this sword here, and then we'll just ignore all the other damage that's incoming to James here. So we get an 8, big collision there. Unfortunately, we didn't get any damage because, you know, whatever, but all right, there's a free hit. The sword that has the tiers, they don't actually have a whole lot of stagger. It's just DPSing them down fast enough before the tiers swap off. That's the hard part. The second part about this fight that's kind of annoying, and of course it is RNG heavy, is the fact that it's an endurance fight. You have to be able to outlast Night of Despair, otherwise you're just completely foobar. And that's the part that I've been sort of struggling with, is getting this idea that we're going to be able, like, I can get down all 3 swords. When we get to the next phase, you'll see. Let's go with we'll go with the retaliate here, and then flash a sun up so we can draw another card there. I'm actually going to do retaliate second. That way we can clash with it instead of the other one. And Chelsea still does not have her high single roll card. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to intercept, or at least try to intercept a couple of these attacks, just to make sure that we're not taking too much damage, because this fight is an endurance round with 100%. It is an endurance fight, so we should be able to take the sword down here. There we go. Finally got the stagger on the sword. Good damage there from James. Not great damage there from Tifereth. Chelsea, good job there. Good deflect. Beautiful. Didn't get the sword down this phase. We get basically one more turn. I'm going to go with love. Every time we win a clash, we're going to heal, as well as someone gets stagger resist as well, and we're going to put that on Chelsea. Chelsea's typically my best clasher, so we have to take down the sword this turn, and we should be able to. Now we need to set up for the next turn, which is where we're going to need basically our big special attacks. So I'm gonna have James defend this. We still did not pull the heavy beats on Chelsea, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to defend against this, because I don't want her to take a whole lot of damage, because we're definitely going to need her. We'll use a weight up there, and then Tifereth should No, Tifreth didn't get a, she didn't get her big attack either, so it's only James. And even then, James doesn't have his attack either. Wow, we're actually not in great shape here. That should be enough to take down that one. Yeah, so none of our employees have their big single target rolls yet, so that's unfortunate. But we should be able to. I mean, yeah, we're guaranteed to take the sword down here because it's vulnerable. Let's try to mitigate damage here. 3 to 7, very nicely done. And look at that, she won 2 clashes, very nice. James defended against that as well, very nice by James. And there's the fatal. All right, now we go to phase 2. We could go hate here. After losing a clash, take 2 to 4 stagger damage, gain 1 strength per next scene up to 2. Losing 3 clashes in a single scene, reduce the cost of the most expensive page in hand by 1 once per scene. Or we go to justice. I don't mind hate. We'll go on hate and we'll put it on Chelsea as well. Okay, so now we go into the defensive phase here. We have to stop all attacks from the swords. Now we have plenty of light. We have to hope that we drew the big defense, and Tifreth did at least. So what we can do, and this is where the large single target roll matters a whole lot. This one singular roll is going to defend against all of the attacks. So typically we would hope that Chelsea gets it, but we have 3 chances to knock down all of these swords to stop all this damage. It's easier said than done, obviously. We have to roll very nicely here on the high tearing sword, and James doesn't really have anything. He could hope for a good roll. I mean, 3 to 8 versus 5 to 10. Maybe Crack of Dawn does it. But right now, Tifreth should have the best chance at defending against this. She should almost guaranteed win this clash. So here we go. So you're going to see, even though this sword has 3 attacks, we're only going to use 1 die with a very high range to roll against it. That is the key of beating ranged attacks in this game, and that's what I've learned since the last time that you've seen me play the game. Roll to 9. James literally can't beat that roll, unfortunately. So of course the computer is going to get the high roll on that. Chelsea, stop that one. She has a chance, and she did it. Look at that, Chelsea being the surprise defend here. So here comes the 3. Tifreth rolls a 5. Another 3 rolls an 11. 3 rolls a 9. Tifreth completely parries that one as well. So we get 2 swords in one go. That's really, really good. So there's only 1 sword remaining. The Knight of Despair takes damage, but she's not totally vulnerable yet. So we have to defend against the 5 to 10 roll now. And it does look like Chelsea did get her heavy beats, so that's good. So now we just leave this to Chelsea, and we let James and Tifreth basically. We're gonna let them build light because we're gonna need them. We're gonna need their attacks for the next phase here, assuming that Chelsea beats this, which she should. Roll to 6. Chelsea literally cannot lose this. Got a 15. There we go. So we've defended against all 3. Very nice. We took minimal damage there. And now the Knight of Despair is targetable for 1 round, and we need to bring out all the big guns. We need to do as much damage as we can as possible here. So James, I believe I think he has 4 light. It's hard to tell. That's one thing I hate about this shattered effect. It's really difficult to see how much light you have. Tifreth, 3 to 7. We don't need to use our expensive attacks. We just need to use high rolling attacks. It's like this one's free here because remember, because we're not going to kill her on this round. We're just going to do as much damage as possible. So we actually get heavy beats here, and I'm going to use it now. Chelsea's out of light. We could go Flash of Sun up here and Sparking Spear, or we could go Collision. Try to get as much damage as possible. We're going to need the piercing damage for the next round, though, so I'm just going to go with that. James gets a 4 and another 4. If we can bring her down below 200, that's where you want to be. That's 5 roll by Tifreth and then a 2. James with more damage. Come on, Chelsea. Big roll, big roll. Got a 9. Not good enough. So we did get her below 200. Very nice. And then the fight starts over again. You have to be careful not to punch yourself out. We got her to 290 or to 190, and that's really not bad at all. That's one of my better rounds. But now is when the endurance part of this comes into play, and it's this is the difficult part of this entire encounter here. So again, we just need a nuke. We just need to nuke down the sword, and this is where the stagger damage really starts to become a problem. So let's see. Let's go intercept that. He's a weight up there. Chelsea can only really defend against this, so we're gonna have her go for that instead. Hear the breaking glass there of losing the clashes. Good job by Tiferet winning both of those clashes. James is gonna get staggered here. This is where the problems start happening. Chelsea has +3 strength right now. She cannot intercept any of these. In fact, none of our employees can, which is a problem. All we can hope for is just to destroy this sword this round, while James is completely defenseless here. We may need Tiferet to intercept one of these. I mean, actually, we can't. We rolled so low, we literally cannot. I think we use eject here instead of retaliate. Okay, James is he's still alive by 5. There we go. Tiferet's got the stagger. James is only has 5 HP left. Luckily, Tiferet can intercept that attack. But we need to get this sword down. Chelsea can intercept that one. And we're gonna have to use Tiferet to attack here, just to be doubly sure that we get this sword down. You're not taking down Chelsea. Big rolls from James. Only need 12. Need 8. Rolled a 1 and a 3, but I think we got it. All right, phase 2 is here. James did draw Binding Arms. That's his big one. So we want Binding Arms. Binding Arms has a great range. We'll have James go for that one. And actually, Tiferet also drew hers. I don't think it's possible for Chelsea to defend against this unless she gets really lucky with the rolls. So let's see. Want her clashing with that one. Yeah, maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we'll get this one and done. Let's see. Come on, guys. I really want to get past this fight. 4 to 5. Come on, Chelsea. And she got a 3. All right. 4 to 6. Tiferet. It's a 13 and 8. So Tiferet stops that one. James has to beat a 6. Got a 14, another 6, and he got a 5, and he died. Wow, Library of Ruina. Wow. Wow, that is incredible. That is incredible. That is Sinvicta luck at its finest. I mean, Tifreth has no shot at defending against that. It's either 2-7 or, I mean, 2-7 versus 5-10. I'm going to take our chance on the 2-7. Tifreth really can't do anything. She can try to defend against this, but it's not gonna work. Of course, they roll a 9. Yeah, this one is over. So this is the problem that I have with this fight, is just that it's so RNG dependent on what you roll for your big rolls here. And yeah, we're not gonna be able to do it, so that's the problem with this fight. Now I know that we don't have to keep going on this fight, but you know me. Those of you who've watched me long enough, you know that I beat my head against the wall because I don't like letting the games beat me, get the better of me. You know, I'm gonna keep going until you know, we literally can't go anymore. I'm gonna use Sparking Spear here and wait up. Chelsea also, she did not get her big one, so we'll go for a clash here, and then a wait up here. I think that's right. See, we're supposed to be dealing damage to the sword, guys. We're not supposed to be not dealing damage to it. Chelsea is definitely our best clasher in this. She's our best clasher in this group. And Peter's just rolling very, very, very easily against us here. There's the stagger from Tifreth. And that's just not enough. That's just not enough damage on the sword, and we only have one turn left to get it done. James is going to have to defend against this, I think. We can't let him go. We can't let him go down to 0 light because we have to use Binding Arms for him. Tifreth as well. We can't defend against that either with Chelsea or actually Chelsea might be able to defend against this. Nope. Just get the damage out. Yep, just get all the damage. This should be it for the sword, but I think we've taken too much damage. The computer, yeah, just max rolls after max rolls. Yeah, James is already staggered, and we haven't even gotten to the second phase here. He's not staggered yet, but he's almost staggered. All right. We're going to let James... Chelsea? Nope, Chelsea didn't get it. We're going to let James handle that one. Tifreth, we're going to let her handle that one. And then Chelsea, she can do what she can to defend against that. Maybe she'll get lucky. Nope. Computer rolled near max roll again. Tifreth wins her clash. Very nice. And rolled an 8. James rolls a 5. Minimum rolls, and he's dead. All right. All right. So, yeah, that's that fight. I mean, you see the variance here that we're dealing with. You know, when the computer just decides to roll high, there's just nothing you can do. It's so much easier to just say, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and we're just gonna try again. We're gonna just reset it. There's no reason not to, basically. Want to nuke this thing down. Just nuke it down. We should have a bunch of free attacks against this sword here. Yeah, the key is to getting the free attack and basically staggering this sword before it has a chance to defend itself. There you go, just like Tifereth just did. Maximum roll by James and then a minimum roll by James. Good job by Chelsea. And we've almost staggered that sword in round 1. That is insane. Or we've almost not staggered, but we've almost killed that sword in round 1. And we already have binding arms here. We don't have it here. We can let Tifereth clash there. Chelsea can clash there. James doesn't really have a good option here. We don't want him to use binding arms. I mean, we need to get one attack off, though, against this thing to kill it, so... Tifereth is going to exhaust herself here, but... she parried that one. Chelsea's attack wasn't enough. Good job by Chelsea. Chelsea's showing you why she's the best clasher we've got. Actually meant to select love, but oh well. Okay, we did get binding arms on Tifereth. We really need Chelsea to draw heavy peaks, because that's the big one. We'll see if James can roll better than he has been. You know, maybe Chelsea gets lucky. She does have +1 strength, so we'll see. Maybe we'll get lucky. 4 to 6. James rolls a 6. Good job, James. 4 to 6. Chelsea can tie this. She didn't. And she wouldn't have won the second one anyway. 5, 15, 5, 6, 5, 13. Good job, Tifereth. 2 swords down. So we still have 2 chances here. And this one is the villain, so we get a bonus against that one. Tifereth did not get the big one. In fact, none of them did. We may want to let Chelsea roll against this with Sunset Blade. And then these 2 here can regain light. Kind of a risk doing this with Sunset Blade, but Chelsea does have strength +1, so maybe she gets lucky. And the computer rolls bad. I wouldn't hold my freaking breath. Yeah, exactly. So this is our last chance to stop this. We need one of them to draw their the big ones. Chelsea did finally draw it. And then you two. So heavy peaks versus that. Got a 9 and a 19 from Chelsea. That's what we're talking about. Now we go to the damage phase here. Okay, and then we need all damage on her, but it wasn't a particularly great phase for us. I think we want collision. Butterfly slash is huge for Chelsea. Can we get her under 200? James rolls a 2 and a 4. Good job, James. 4 and a 4. Another 4 and a 5. 8 and a 5. Yeah, that's how hard it is to get her. I mean, we got her to 185, which honestly is a lot better than I thought we did. So now this is the sword. Luckily, James has got all the light that he needs here. But unfortunately, we don't have any piercing attacks. If I can go retaliate and then a wait up here. Chelsea can't really do much. She can defend against one of these. James. Chelsea's got 14 stagger. I'm gonna take a risk here and use Crack of Dawn. We're not really getting a lot of damage here. Good job by Tippereth. Yeah, not a great round there. But the tiered sword does have villain now, so we just need that piercing damage against it. Okay, Chelsea does have heavy peaks. We just gotta get to the next phase as fast as possible. 8, good job by James. Another 8, back-to-back 8s. We might get the stagger if we're lucky. Ivrath gets the stagger on the eject. And now Chelsea is staggered, and that's not good. James rolls a 1 and a 6. So losing Chelsea here is not good. James has to be the one to kill the sword, basically. Good job by Tippereth. Great job winning those. She gets the light back. Okay, we got it. James there for good measure. All right, here we go again. We got to hope for good rolls. We do have binding arms. Chelsea does have heavy peaks, so we want Chelsea rolling against the hardest one to beat, which is this one. James binding arms. I mean, it doesn't really matter who we throw out. Tippereth has more stagger, so we're gonna have her go for that, and then James has to beat the single roll. This is the chance. This might be the closest I've gotten to winning this fight. Rolled a 5. James cannot lose this. 1 down. Rolls a 6. Tippereth gets an 11. Rolls a 4. Tippereth gets a 5. Tippereth 2 down. Rolls a 6. Chelsea. It's a 10. 4. Gets a 17. 6. Gets a 14. They did it all in one turn. Knight of Despair with 29 HP. We need all the big damage. I think that we're gonna get it. Chelsea doesn't have enough for any attack. We got to deal 29 points of damage. 23 points of damage. 11. 0. We get her. Oh, man. Oh, that feels good to get that monkey off my back. Hurry it up, will you? Don't nag me now. This is the fastest I can go. Even a snail will be faster than that, you. All right, I'm done moving them. Sheesh, you got a fiery temper. I just want to get done with that so I can just want to get done with what I can as quickly as possible. If you're so confident, why didn't you tell me about your progress in learning about the city sciences? I don't know. What's the point of singularity? What's the point when singularities violate all known laws of physics anyway? I'm not even sure us librarians can be defined as living beings either. It's true, singularities can be a huge obstacle to understanding the city. What do you mean by librarians being difficult to define, though? That part got me curious. What do you think librarians are? Beings that aren't human, kind of like humans? All librarians can exist within the library. And they're reincarnations of the beings from Lobotomy Corporation, patron librarians being the Sephiroth, and assistant librarians being the employees. I've heard similar explanations, yeah. Former staff of Lobotomy Corp were given a new body, basically. Angela did keep her promise, yet the Sephiroth and the employees weren't the only ones to come back. The abnormalities did too, but because most of the systems and structures of Lobotomy Corporation broke down and a lot of their energy was exhausted from the light and all the combat they had, they can't maintain a physical form. On the other hand, the librarians have had their flesh restored and they're psychologically unstable. The librarians carry the abnormalities with them when they fight, I guess. And we're no exception. Oh, I see. Still, I feel like we're just borrowing power from the abnormalities, not consumed by them. Well, there have been a couple of moments where I felt as if I crossed some kind of line. The so-called distortion occurs once you cross that line, and Angela's adjusting things from behind the scenes to make sure that we don't. Sounds like we're dancing on a stage or something. It's just as you say, it feels strange to be one of the ones on the stage this time. Could this be Angela's little vendetta against you guys? Could be. Great. Then you could tell her. Could you tell her to leave me out of this? Anyway, even if the assistant librarians and I were to face horrible deaths while receiving guests, we'd wake up with a reconstructed body once the library closes. But we still fear the pain of death. We still feel the let's try this again. But we still feel the fear of pain and death whenever we greet our guests. Do you know why? Because we forget? That's right. Librarians forget the fact that they can revive while they're receiving guests. We have to face each other feeling the same kind of desperation and dread the guests feel. We must prepare ourselves for death and agony every time we greet our guests. How's that? Do you think the library's invitations are dirty? Well, I guess that's fair enough, but strictly speaking, we do revive in the end, don't we? Not knowing about that when we die is one thing, but still. It's still kind of dirty in that sense, in my opinion. Besides, even if we're relieved of all pain when the library closes, the fact that we're still hurt still stands. Don't you resent Angela for putting you on the stage and toying with you? If she can make this more painful for us, she would have already. I think Angela's actually caring for us in some of her way. Back in Lobotomy Corporation's employees were quite literally expendables, like in all other corporations. But here, no librarians left behind at the very least. No one is left behind. No one's left behind, huh? Gotta say, I admire your positive mindset, Tiff. Humph. That's the wisdom that comes with age. You know, sometimes when I fall asleep and then wake up in this library, I don't feel like ever waking up again. No, it's not just here. I've always been like that, since long before I came here. I just didn't want to wake up from my dreams. But why? Because I'd have to start yet another dreary day with nothing to look forward to. You don't hold any expectations? Nope. I already threw all expectation for anything down the drain. It's all gonna fall into ruin soon enough, me and this world I live in. I might be suffering from a severe case of that disease of the mind you guys are talking about after all. I still believe that we can become better. Well, you're free to believe whatever you want. All right, let's go prepare ourselves for another dance, shall we? All right, so we get a new Librarian and motion level threshold increased to 3. Let's see what cards we get from Night of Despair. Oh boy, Blessing. If the character took damage from attacks on the previous scene, changes character's resistances to the type that dealt the most damage to endured. Applies separately for physical and stagger damage. Wow. Despair. Whenever an ally dies, all other allies gain 1 to 3 strength and haste, and all enemies are inflicted with 2 fragile. Blades wetted by teardrops. On a successful pierce attack, if the die rolled max value, deal bonus damage equal to 10% of the target's max HP. Maximum 12, excludes mass attacks. Wow, that seems pretty darn good. And yeah, there's our 4th Librarian here in the Florida Natural Sciences. So, hey, look at that. We got the fight down. Unbelievably. Now I have to go fix all my decks and all my key pages. So thank you for watching. Super happy that we got past that fight because, man, that was an annoying one. Actually, probably more annoying than the Queen of Hatred, if I'm honest. But yeah, thank you very much for being here on the Sinvicta Gaming channel. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button. If you didn't, click the dislike button. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more Library of Ruina. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite abnormality has been thus far, keeping spoilers out of the comment section. And as always, I will see you all next time. Until then, so long, everybody.